Welcome back to the Bears Baseball Network. We had another great weekend of Bears baseball this weekend. And KJ, first and foremost, I want to start out with the youth prep, guys. This was the first weekend of action for youth prep, and we brought home 2 tournament wins, I believe, between 8U Floyd, 9U Nickerson, and an 8-1 combined record. Just absolute dominance from the youth prep guys. And KJ, these are 2 teams that it wasn't too long ago that this group was very inexperienced, very new, especially with the 8U guys. But even Nickerson, not too long ago, these guys were very inexperienced, fighting for wins, and now coming out and dominating. Let's go ahead and start with 9U Nickerson, a 5-0 weekend, played really, really competitive all weekend long. And KJ, I think there are several guys here who are growing into household names. You know, obviously the main one, the guy like Blake Nickerson, but then some other guys like Peter Rojek, like a Joe Moore. All 3 had monster weekends at the plate. KJ, what did you think about this 9U Nickerson team this weekend, a 5-0 start?
Yeah, I think, the big thing for them is, offensively they had a bunch of extra base hits. I think they walked double the amount they struck out. Just hit the ball hard, and I think that's what we've talked about for a long time. And then on the pitching and defense side, their pitchers all threw strikes, and I think especially at 9U, that's a huge key. I think, the team as a whole was over 50% strikes, so they were throwing strikes, and the offense was putting up huge numbers as well.
Yeah, to me, 9U is all about controlling the strike zone, and the pitching staff struck out more batters than the offense struck out, and the pitching staff walked fewer batters than the opposing pitchers walked. So, yeah, it was really, really impressive to see these guys work because, again, I mean, this team, Bernie, me and you, I think were pretty vocal last year about maybe they were going to take a step back when they got the kid pitch, and they didn't take a step back last fall. They've been absolutely dominant to start this season. Bernie, what did you think about this opening weekend here from 9U Nickerson?
Yeah, I think they proved us wrong in the fact that these guys have some good pitchers on the mound. I think Rojak's been a big part of the rotation. There's a lot of different guys there that can throw strikes for him. So at least pitch staff at least is good enough to let their bats go ahead and work.
Yeah, and Camden Kinsey, a big shout out. He threw a no-hitter on the mound at 9U, and I think he threw 5 innings. I think he had like 3 walks and 9 Ks or something like that, but it was a no-hitter on the mound. Very, very impressive stuff from this team. These guys look super, super polished. They won some blowouts, but they also won some close games as well, so they were able to do it on both sides. A really, really impressive weekend for this 9U Nickerson team. KJ, moving on to 8U Floyd, obviously your group of guys, machine pitch. I've said for a long time, machine pitch is about scoring 5 and then at least 1 inning a game, not letting them score 5. It just seems like it's the battle of who can avoid the run rule first. But KJ, your guys, made some plays when they needed to in the field. But of course, the big part of this team was the offense. I wanted to talk first, KJ, about the overall team, and then I'm going to ask you about some players. But give me some thoughts on this 8U first weekend.
Yeah, I thought we did a pretty good job, hitting. I thought, especially on Saturday, a lot of extra base hits, a lot of balls to the wall. You could see the teams on Sunday playing us very deep because we were hitting so good. And not just top of the order, I thought, especially on Sunday, Simeon Championship game, the whole lineup, just has an approach to hit the ball hard. And defensively, I thought we were the best defensive team out there by far. A lot of the outs would come from foul outs and strikeouts. All of the outs we got, would come on our guys fielding ground balls, someone at the first making plays. So I thought the defense did a really good job as well.
Yeah, really impressive team effort. But KJ, some guys I wanted to highlight. First of all, a name maybe people recognize, Phil Burgess. We've been talking up Joey Burgess. He's our number 1 prospect. Well, his younger brother Phil is not a bad player at all. He was absolutely mashing this weekend, KJ. Sometimes when you look at machine pitch or even just youth stats, youth prep stats in general, sometimes numbers can be a little bit inflated, not really indicative of how hard they hit the ball. But Phil Burgess hits the ball hard. I mean, he was absolutely crushing some balls. His doubles, his triples are big boy doubles and triples. I thought a monster weekend for him. What did you think about Phil Burgess, who looks like an emerging star for this AU team?
Yeah, Phil is one of the few couple guys on that team who are in free swing, and he just has that free swing approach. Head down, he's swinging for the fences, and he got into multiple balls. A ton of extra base hits for him, a ton of RBIs. He was doing everything.
Yeah, and when you talk about some other guys on this team, I think a lot of people, especially if you're pretty in tune with the Bears, know Phil Burgess. 2 other names that maybe a lot of people don't know that I want to ask you about, Isaac Ferguson and Grayson Dover. I thought both these guys, I was watching the live stream, and they were hitting some balls really, really hard. I know they've kind of been 2 of your big names so far this season. Excuse me. So what do you think about these two, KJ? I think Phil right now is kind of that star player, but what do you see from Grayson Dover and Isaac Ferguson so far?
Yeah, I think, I had Isaac last year. He's a young guy, so he played machine pitch last year, and he was not very good last year, to be honest. And this year he's put in the work, and, he's one of the best hitters now, and I think he is the best defender. Fields everything, fields line drives, can field ground balls thrown to first. I think he's by far the best defender. As for Grayson, this is a guy, I think, probably the best athlete on the team. He can kind of do a little bit of everything. He plays outfield for me. He can play some infield as well. Made a really nice plays, a couple at second base, and he can hit. He's a big pull hitter, lefty. He's fast as lightning. So, another guy who can kind of do everything.
Yeah, great stuff. Congrats to the 8U Floyd guys. A really, really nice weekend to start the season. And I think only good things are going to come for that team. Let's move on to some of our youth teams, some of our big performers from the weekend. I want to go ahead and start with the pitching side. We had a lot of really, really good outings this weekend. And first, Bernie, I want to ask you about a guy, Owen Lewis. I believe something like 9 strikeouts to no walks. I mean, he was absolutely dominant on Saturday, Bernie, going out and really giving the team a chance to win. I think people who really are in tune with the Bears, I think already know who Owen Lewis is, but it still feels like some people still don't know this guy, and he's one of the best pitchers and hitters in the Bears. What do you think about his outing this weekend, Bernie, and what do you think about his pitching season so far?
Yeah, he continues, give a chance to team to win every single weekend. Look, this guy, from ERA standpoint, you probably wouldn't put him in the Cy Young conversation. I think there's just more runs scored at 12 or 11 baseball in general. But if you look at his walks to strikeouts, his walks are probably something along the lines of 7 or 8 walks to 35 strikeouts so far this season. He's been great. I think that, maybe a little biased. I think he should be, in at least in the conversation for Cy Young when it's all said and done.
Another guy who I thought had a really nice weekend, and last week we talked about Josh Tyler getting these huge strikeout numbers, going out and just dominating. This week I think we saw a different version of Josh, that when the other team is up there trying to put the ball in play, he can still get outs. KJ, I think 4 innings, 4 strikeouts, but a really productive outing, kept runs off the board, and got the win on the mound. KJ, what do you think about Josh Tyler? Now you've kind of seen that explosive electric outing, and then you saw more of a solid win-the-game outing. What have you thought about Josh Tyler's pitching season so far?
Yeah, I think Josh has kind of played both roles. I think he was a guy who can get big strikeouts, and then last week kind of, played to the defense. So, but, nowhere in between those two starts was, a lack of control, a lot of walks, hit by pitches. He was locked in, and I think, he kind of played tailored to the team we were playing. It was one of those teams where, we want them to put in play, and we'll make a play. We got the offense to back it up. So, I thought he did a really good job just to pump strikes.
Speaking about a guy who's a master of control, KJ, Mason Geddes had another great start, 8 Ks, no walks. Again, this guy continues to not only just absolutely fill up the zone with strikes, but also able to get big strikeout numbers as well. I believe he's up to 29 strikeouts to 4 walks on the season. I think it's hard to say he's not the Cy Young frontrunner right now. What do you think about Mason Geddes? Again, another dominant outing.
Yeah, I think Mason is just a guy, he doesn't have necessarily overpowering stuff, but he just pounds his own, and he can do multiple pitches. When you have multiple pitches, you can throw for strikes. You're throwing strikes consistently. You're going to be really effective.
Yeah, really, really impressive. Bernie, 2 more guys who I thought shoved this weekend. A pair of teammates, Owen Haynes, Owen Dobrinsky, combined for 19 strikeouts to, I believe, 5 walks in their 2 outings. Bernie, I think this team, the weakness was the pitching staff going into last year, especially from the consistency side. For them to not only throw strikes but get a lot of strikeouts was just huge for this team. What do you think about the 2 Owens they're outing this weekend?
Yeah, I think for both of them now, this is now a couple weeks in a row where we've said their names on BBN as having good starts. Dobrinsky continues to do it on Saturdays. And with Owen Haynes, I know he ended up allowing some more earned runs, than you would like probably, but that was like a 1-1 game going into the 4th or 5th inning in an 11U baseball game. He was that good. He didn't walk anybody, had a ton of strikeouts. So both very impressive outings for the kids.
Yeah, and to go ahead and the last section of the show here, I want to talk about some guys who are maybe a little more under the radar that look like they're really breaking out right now. Some guys who I think some of whom we talked about preseason as guys we thought were going to have big seasons, and others who maybe are coming out of nowhere. So I want to go ahead and start, Bernie, with a guy on your team in Rowan Damschroeder, who I thought had a really nice weekend. We've talked about before, Bernie, that he's kind of got that boom or bust, swing for the fences or strikeout mentality, but he really put it all together this weekend, crushed the baseball. Quickly, Bernie, what did you think about Rowan Damschroeder's weekend?
Yeah, look, he went up there with the mentality that he was going to swing at every single strike, be on time with the fastball, and that really paid off for him, right? It's what, if Rowan's on time with fastballs, the other team's going to be in trouble.
KJ, a guy who I think we talked about a lot preseason, but mostly I would say for his defense, but who's come out absolutely scorching the ball this weekend was Owen Weibrecht. Again, when you look at the stats, he put up great numbers, but these were not Mickey Mouse hits. I mean, he was absolutely scorching the ball. What do you think about Owen Weibrecht's weekend? And do you see this as more of a long-term breakout, or do you think it was just a great weekend?
Yeah, I think it's been a long time coming for Owen. I mean, he's been a guy who's been working hard. He's in every program. He's here at Bud Delm all the time, and I think, the last couple of weeks we've been getting really close. This wasn't just a thing where he's been terrible and then this week he just broke out. The last couple of weeks it's been a process. He went from not touching the ball at all, then hitting the ball but hitting it soft, then swinging hard and missing it, then swinging hard and hitting it. And I think it's been a long process here that kind of shows me that it wasn't a fluke, but it's all starting to come together for him.
And then one more guy who, again, I think we kind of hyped up in the preseason, but who's come out looking really strong. If you would have told me this guy would have the number 2 OPS on 11U Floyd at this point in the season, with guys on that team like Owen Dobrinsky, Owen Haynes, Carson Griffith, Lucas Closter, this guy's the number 2 OPS, and that's Cooper Woolen. KJ, I know you like this guy a lot preseason. I know you're not surprised by the early season start for him. He's been really, really good at the plate. What do you think we can expect from Cooper Woolen for the rest of the season?
Yeah, like you said, I kind of told everyone preseason this guy was going to be a monster. I think he has the highest exit velo at the age, a constant free swing guy, a guy who thinks dead pull, and it's been working out for him. And I think there's really showing no signs he's going to slow down. I think he only gets better from here.
Yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of the Bears Baseball Network. Before you go anywhere, once again, we've got everybody's favorite segment. It's Hacking Time.